What began as a symbolic call for justice and better governance quickly turned violent. Police reportedly used live ammunition, tear gas, and water cannon to disperse crowds. At least 10 people are believed to have been killed and dozens of others injured, raising serious concern about excessive force, the deployment of plainclothes police officers, and allegations of defying a court order requiring police officers to wear identifiable uniforms as well as badges. To help us unpack the situation and what it means for civil liberties in Kenya, we're now joined by Ernest Cornel from the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Ernest, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Peter, for hosting me.
So what is Kenya Human Rights Commission's overall assessment of the police response to the Saba Saba protest this year?
As at 6:30 p.m. yesterday, police had extrajudicially killed at least 9 people across 24 counties where these protests were taking place. Another at least 29 were injured and more than 60 were arrested. The police response as well as was very, very brutal. This response come days after the Interior Minister said that he's going to protect any police officer who is going to take away life. So it's happening in a context where police have a cover from the executive of protection when they are going to commit excesses.
We've seen video footage of police officers allegedly operating without uniforms or name tags, and this violates a court order issued earlier this year. Has the Commission been able to verify this, and what might be the legal implications of disregarding a court order like this?
Yes, we've been able to verify that police indeed have been operating with their faces covered, without official uniform when in operations. Even the cars that they're operating with either have their number plates altered or they don't have number plates at all. You are right. This is contrary to a Malindi court decision that said they must be identifiable. They must not use excessive force. They must not use water cannon. They must not use bullets and tear gas. In fact, another order that was made by court 2 weeks ago after the June 25th protest, in which a case was filed by KHRC and Katiba Institute. The court also prohibited police from targeting places of shelter, safe places like hospitals, ambulances, and churches. The implication of this is that those who commit these violations, those who commit these crimes, which are almost amounting to crimes against humanity, will not be held accountable because they have covered themselves, and it makes it even difficult for people to identify themselves so that they can be arrested and arraigned. It is a duty of the Independent Police Oversight Authority to conduct these investigations, and in situations where you're making your identity impossible to know, it becomes a challenge for those who are responsible for investigating your crimes to have you arrested.
What evidence is there that these plainclothes officers are actually members of the police and not something more sinister?
First, in Kenya, it is in such operations, police, law enforcement officers are the one being deployed. You won't see vigilante group operating with guns and the kind of armor that those people were having. Another evidence is that sometimes they work hand in hand with uniformed officers. They appear to be coordinating their operations. That's the evidence that we have that indeed these are security officers.
To what extent were these protests peaceful before police intervention? And is there any evidence that some protesters might have initiated some violence?
We appreciate that there have been situations where these peaceful demonstrations have been infiltrated, and these infiltrations are usually state-led. What the state does is to infiltrate, make the protest look violent so that it delegitimize the concerns of those going to the streets. as always, we have seen when people show up on the street very peacefully, police are the one triggering violence. They unnecessarily start tossing tear gas, start firing in there, and in that situation, it causes panic and people start to run away. During that mayhem, they create a conducive environment where it allows state-hired goons to start wreaking havoc.
Overall, as a human rights commission, how would you assess the state of play in the country at the moment? I mean, it feels like as a journalist, we're reporting on one incident after another, week by week now. Are things getting worse on the human rights front in Kenya?
This is a crisis. Things are getting worse. In 2023, anti-finance bill protest, at least 100 were killed. Last year, 2024, at least 63 were killed, but records shows that more than 100 people were killed because state was very, very intentional on suppressing the numbers. This year, so far, since June 25th, 19 people have already been killed by the police. Today, we're speaking about almost 19 unofficially who have been taken out by the police. We are still collecting data and we know the toll might be higher. Within just 2 weeks after June 25th, we've seen 38 people, almost 38, with confirmation of today's toll, at least 38 would have already been taken out by the police. There is an escalation of intimidation. There's an escalation of suppression by the state, and this is likely to go on ahead of the election. Remember, it's during election where state violence is usually on the rise because the regime of the day try to consolidate power, and they may use anything possible to make sure that they still retain their positions and whatever they are doing.
And what is your protector in chief, the president, saying about all of this?
Well, like his Minister of Interior, at some point he congratulated police officers, security officers, for a job well done. And what was that job well done? It was killing people. We've not seen any political goodwill in having these officers getting arrested, arraigned for the crimes that they are committed. There is no political goodwill.
All right, Ernest, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but thank you so much indeed for that very important update.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. That's Ernest Cornel from the Kenya Human Rights Commission saying that there's a crisis in the country at this time.